Alright, we're back live with Elden Ring. This is the fourth stream. And I am here at Caria Manor, here in Liurnia. Thanks, Sydney. Haven't done much here in Altus Plateau or the Volcano Manor area. I just sort of unlocked the Sites of Grace. But this is a totally optional area here at Caria Manor. However, it's worthwhile to explore here because we're going to meet someone who is tied to a different ending of the game. I fought Loretta, the moon-gazing knight here. As I mentioned before, sorcerers in this game are descended from astrologers, and the House of Caria in particular has a close association with the stars. So, they call this the moon-gazing ground because of this reflecting pool in which it would track the cycles of the moon. And as opposed to a sundial, this structure up here has the phases of the moon etched into it, so I call it a moon dial. And now we're going to explore this area. This dragon over here, I'm not going to fight it. If you try to fight it, then once you get down to half health, it'll just disappear. You won't really be able to fight it for real until much later. I won't be able to come here until later either. So I'm on my way to Ronnie's Rise. And before I get there, there's going to be these little ruins up here with an interesting little secret. So as you're just going through here, there's usually a guy who attacks you, and it's supposed to call attention to this suspicious looking thing here on the floor. You hit it, and it's an illusory wall. The pose that these guys are in is interesting here. So, kneeling with head tilted back. Same pose here, same pose here. These are people who have been turned into puppets. Celovus's puppet. Do not touch. And there is another illusory wall here. And yes, this puppet looks exactly like Selen, and that will become relevant later. But now that we've discovered the stash of human puppets, let's proceed onward. Knowing this information will allow you to make an important decision. So already you should sort of be getting the sense of Ronnie being surrounded with things having to do with the stars and astrology, and basically the idea of predetermination, of her fate being determined for her, basically. And let's see how she responds to that.
Oh. Again we cross paths. I believe I said my name was Rena when last we met. It pleaseth me to see Torrent hale and hearty, but tarnished. What business hast thou here? I have no memory of inking thee an invitation.
And the reason I'm able to use this dialogue is because I completed the quest for Roger earlier to uncover the secret. If you hadn't done that, then there would be a different dialogue option.
I see. Quite the sleuth, aren't we? Indeed, I am the witch Rani. I stole a fragment of the Rune of Death and used it to forge the god-slaying black knives through fearsome rite. I did it all. But sadly for thee, the curse mark thou seekest is not to be found here. I have slain the body I was born into and cast it away. And it is upon that flesh the curse mark is carved.
Yeah, so that's obviously not her body. She is possessing a doll, and the possession, I guess, is not quite perfect. That's why her spirit is slightly out of alignment with the body.
And why should I reveal that to thee? I performed the act not to bury the past, nor in shame of the deed, but all the same, thy begging compels me not a jot. The curse mark thou seekest is not here. That is all I will say. Now, be gone.
Notice that she speaks a little bit differently than most of the others in the lands between. I believe her mother Renala doesn't speak that much, but she also speaks a little bit differently with a different accent. It's meant to sort of convey that the House of Caria is foreign. But since she's not going to talk, we're going to go back to Roger.
Always good to see you safe. So, what do you need? I see. When Rani shed her flesh, she shed the curse mark too. You know, not everyone would trust such a tale. But if she in her current form is nothing more than the living doll you profess, then perhaps it's true after all. Forgive the bluntness of the notion, but how would you like to become one of Rani's vassals? Only in order to get what we want, of course. The location of the body which bore the curse mark, which right now I haven't the faintest. And the best way to find out is for you to enter her service and take a poke around on the sly. I know you've got what it takes. Not only are you a superb fighter, but people want to trust you. I've seen it. Can you become Rani's vassal to advance our agenda? While in her service, you'll be able to determine the location. I realize that I'm asking, but I know you've got what it takes.
Okay.
The curse mark thou seekest is not here. That is all I will say. Now, be gone. Oh, is that so? Thou wouldst render me aid. Is that thy proposal?
She sounds skeptical.
Affording thyself opportunity to grope about for the curse mark's location, no doubt. Very well. There's nothing wrong with a well-laid scheme. What's more, if my past and past wounds beckon to thee, I am curious enough to see what thy destiny portends. I'll allow it. Enter my service, and good hunting to thee.
So, important thing that needs to be mentioned here. The whole game so far, people have been telling you to repair the Elden Ring and become Elden Lord. That's the goal of the game, right? if you become Elden Lord, you're basically upholding the Golden Order. You're rescuing the Order, but you're upholding the same order, the same Golden Order that the people in the lands between have been living under for a long time. And throughout, traveling throughout the game world, you're supposed to see the issues with the Golden Order, and you can come to the conclusion that maybe this isn't the best way. You can do what the game tells you. You can repair the Elden Ring, and you can become Elden Lord and uphold the Golden Order and all that, and you'll beat the game, and you'll see the end credits, all that. That's a perfectly valid option. But if you explore this area, if you discover Ronnie here, and you go along with her quest line, she offers you a different path, one that throws off the Golden Order completely.
Good. Then I ask we proceed with haste. There is, in my service, a half-woven warrior by the name of Blythe. I would have thee join him in searching for the hidden treasure of Nokron, the Eternal City. I have called for Blythe to greet thee below. Take from him the particulars. Ah, and there wilt thou find Iji, my war counselor, and Salavis, preceptor in the sorcerous arts also. Heed not their peculiarities. Feel secure in gaining from them what advantage thou canst. I am sure the others will be doing just the same.
So you were the one. Lady Rani has explained everything. Again, I am Iji, the Karian royal family's dedicated blacksmith.
He's the blacksmith we met earlier on the way here. This ghost image is just a projection of him.
I will give you whatever guidance I can, and pray for your success. My apologies for the misleading words of warning. I never imagined that an audience, let alone service to Lady Rani, was in your fate. I, for one, should have seen it, but I did not. Do forgive me, my fellow. Let us give all that we can of ourselves, together, for Lady Rani.
Long time, friend. Blythe. If you've forgotten, glad to have you in the service of Mistress Rani. Well, getting right to business. I'm still in Limgrave. The eternal city of Nokron lies somewhere at the bottom of this land. I'm planning to go below through the well in the Mistwood. See if I can't find the road to Nokron from there. I'm going below through the well in the Mistwood. See if I can't find the road. Don't keep me waiting, eh?
So he's talking about the well in the Mistwood. He's referring to what we saw in the first stream. This Shifra River well. He'll get close to Nokron. He'll get to the underground area, but Nokron will be out of reach if he goes that route.
I see. You must be Rani's new hireling. Yes, I've heard all about you. I am Salavis, preceptor in the sorcerous arts. I don't know what it is the mistress sees in a provincial tarnished like you.
Yeah, just the way this guy's talking should be enough of a clue that he's a bad guy.
I ask that you kindly try not to
I
drag
mean,
us all down
a lot of
with
people would say Ronnie is evil, but I mean, There's a lot of gray areas, but not with Celovus. He's definitely a bad guy.
I reside in another tower close by. Come and pay me a visit. Should you wish to be of actual service to Mistress Rani. If it were up to me, I wouldn't waste my time on the likes of you. But who am I to stand against the wishes of my lady?
Yeah, it's weird that these rises are actually places where you can ride your horse. But then there's other indoor structures where you can't, where it seems like you should be able to. It's a little bit inconsistent, but it's interesting.
Allow me to forewarn thee. I shall soon enter my slumber, and it will be some time before I wake. This doll's body is not without its hindrances. Still, I have high hopes for thee. I look forward to the good news when I arise. I shall soon, and it will be. I look forward to the good.
So now let's go talk to Celovus. Yeah, I'm gonna be completely avoiding that dragon for a while. If I do fight it, it won't be at this location. The name of the dragon, by the way, is Adula. And if you're a sorcerer character, it is worth fighting because you can get a very powerful sorcery from Adula. But I'm not using magic, so not worthwhile. And this is Celovus's rise. And I'll just, instead of going through the door, I'll go up here because I can get a piece of armor. Black Wolf Mask. A mask fashioned after the head of a black wolf. Relic of an assassin who assumed the guise of Rani the Witch's loyal shadow. The likeness is striking. So yeah, someone who might be impersonating Blythe. So that's the first clue that assassins are after Rani. Hence why when she first introduced herself to us, she introduced herself as Rena. Okay. Time to talk to Celovus.
You took me at my word. Did you not realize I was merely being polite?
He's never polite.
You provincials never cease to amaze. I suppose you're here now. Perhaps I'll give you something to do. I'd like you to find a woman called Nefeli to administer a potion. Even you can do that much, can't you? Good, good. Now I shall
Nefeli is who we met in the second stream at Stormvale Castle, the adopted daughter of Gideon.
find Nefeli and ensure she drinks it. I expect glad tidings, and soon.
Now, if you had come here with no context, you would have no idea what this potion is supposed to do, or why he wants her to drink it. But the fact that we uncover his stash of humans turned into dolls is pretty clear now what this potion would do. It would turn Nefeli into one of his puppets. What he would intend to do with her after that, you can speculate. That is an option, by the way. You can actually give Nefeli this potion when she's in her depressed state after Gideon abandons her. And she is obtainable as a doll that you can summon for fights. I'm going to come down here. But it should go without saying that our plans for Nefeli are something very different. She is someone that we're going to actually help put on the throne of Stormvale Castle. More dolls here. And this guy. This is an Albinoric. I don't know if I mentioned this, but Albinorics are an artificially created race of people, likely created by sorcerers, and there have been 2 generations of them. He's a first generation Albinoric. They're the ones who look more like people and they're capable of human speech, and their legs don't work. The second generation of Albinorics are the frog-like people that we see a lot in Liurnia, who do the cartwheels and stuff like that. They don't, as far as we know, they don't talk. But they're second generation and their legs do work. But presumably they lack some of the capabilities of the first generation, such as speech and possibly the intelligence of the first generation.
Oh, you? Sorry, Your Worship. I apologize for any offense.
And note the staff in his hand. He is capable of magic.
Servant to the Carrion royal family. I am charged with maintaining these ghastly dolls. Your Worship, allow me to be of use. Other than the puppets, there are some very fine things up here in this storeroom. Why not pick something out before you go? But please, can you offer poor ill-starred Pythia a little something by way of compensation?
So the fact that there's puppets here should, in your mind, link Pythia with Celibus. He has a larval tear for rebirth through Renala. We'll buy this. A larval tear just because. A ritual pot. And by this item Celestial do, if you upset someone and cause them to aggro on you, but they're alive, you can buy one of these. In fact, I think this is a limited quantity item in the game, so he only sells one of these. But get one of these, go to the Church of Valves, and use the right to de-aggro them. But let's see. Let's look at this map we got. Not very much information here, but there is enough information to recognize that whatever this is pointing to, it's above this little, looks like a path that leads to a rectangle. And I happen to know that it's referring to this area right here. It's basically a map to this little crevice here, because there's an item that we can actually obtain there. In fact, let's just go there now and grab the item. And then we'll go to Round Table Hold to deal with that potion that he gave us. Oh, Tree, great Tree. went past it. There is an entrance through this cliff face. And again, the map itself doesn't really tell you that much. It just gives you the faint outline of some structures. And you just have to... Well, first you have to have this segment of the map unlocked to recognize it. And just pay close attention. And yeah, you can find your way up here. And this is an interesting statue. Let's see. Let me put my lantern on. These figures are Melania and Mikola. Okay, let's see what... An ephemeral silver that gives off a pale amber glow. What remains of a passing flash of starlight? If the stars command our fates, then amber-hued stars must command the fates of the gods. Such is the belief that inspired the use of these shards to prepare a most special draught. Cannot be consumed by mere humans. Alright, round table hold. And yeah, we're not going to get that potion to Nepheli. Instead, we're going to talk to Gideon.
Journey to the capital, Lendell.
Yeah, yeah.
You may be out. Is that potion what I think it is? Bloody Salivus. I suppose he's up to something again. Oh, I won't interfere. You go ahead and do what you must. The Round Table has no code to speak of. But I ask you this. Are you really going to do the bidding of that twisted dolly botherer? Or would you rather hand that potion to me and see if we can't get one over on the bastard?
I think it's a pretty safe bet that Gideon is not someone you can trust with a potion like this. But you kind of do have to hand it over to him as an alternative to actually giving it to Nepheli or to giving it to the Dung Eater. He's another person you can actually give the potion to, but I'm not going to do that either. So yeah, you have one of those three choices for dealing with the potion.
You go and see Salivus.
You can't just pour it out.
Just tell him that you tricked your mark into drinking the potion, as planned. Despite knowing next to bloody nothing, he's so far up his own arse he won't suspect a thing. His inevitable display of arrogance will certainly be a sight to behold.
Alright, let's go tell Salivus that we gave Nepheli the potion. As many times as we're going to have to make this trip to Salivus's rise, I really wish there was a side of grace here.
Ah, so you made Nepheli drink the potion. Well done. You are a touch more useful than I had thought. Very well. Then you shall have your gift. Knowledge of the sorcerous arts under the tutelage of the great preceptor Salivus. I doubt much of it will lay within the grasp of a mere tarnished, but if you put your mind to it, perhaps you won't embarrass our lady.
It's worth wondering why Ronnie keeps this guy around. And my theory is, obviously look at what he's wearing. His hat shows what appears to be celestial orbits. He seems to be the astrologer for Ronnie's house.
You wish to begin right this
For a house that relies so much if their fate is determined by the stars, they need someone to interpret that for them.
Let's have at it.
That's most likely his role here, and probably the only reason Ronnie tolerates him.
So, you had Nepheli drink the potion? Truly? Then perhaps something was amiss with it. It's concocted from the finest ingredients, but perhaps I should review the recipe.
And by the way, she will not be tolerating him for much longer.
You break into a man's private chambers, rooting about as you please. Your offishness knows no bounds. Fine and well. You tricked Nepheli and had her drink the potion. I believe that makes you my accomplice. You yearn for a puppet of your own, hmm? Well, normally one of your stature would never be allowed. But perhaps I can make a very special exception. Now, choose.
Alright, we're gonna have to eventually get both of them, but we're gonna get this one.
Begging for another letter. Doesn't make...
I'm gonna have to revisit him several times in order to unlock new dialogue. But basically, we need to select one puppet, and then later we'll have the option to buy the other puppet, and that'll progress dialogue a little bit. But let's go here. Because Blythe did say he was going to go into the well in Mistwood, which he's referring to this. So if he came down here, he would, think like Blythe would be thinking. He comes down here, looks around. What's the first thing he sees when it comes to a structure that looks something like the lost city of Nokron? This is not Nokron, but obviously this would draw someone's gaze. So he's going to approach, and there he is. But before I talk to him, let me deal with these guys, because don't want them attacking Blythe when we're mid-conversation. That could mess some stuff up. Now it's safe to talk to him. Nope, no more.
Ah, good to see you. Apologies, mate, but I don't have much to report. I can see bloody Nokron right above me, but I'm absolutely stumped. I've tried all the gateways, to no avail. Perhaps it's time to ask Celibus. I recall that spiteful little rat acting like he knew something. Let's give him a squeeze. Show him just how sharp my teeth are.
Blythe doesn't like him either. And let's see if EG has something to say before we talk to Celibus. Unfortunately, even aside from this, you do have to talk to Celibus a lot just to progress his little scheme.
As war council, I take it you've heard of the eternal city of Noxtella. Well, it has a twin, known as Nokron. The other
There's actually a
eternal
third
city.
eternal city as
After
well.
years of expeditions,
We'll be going to all
we've
three.
determined the location of Nokron by going underground through the well in the Mistwood of Limgrave. You can see Nokron up above. Only we've failed to find a path leading to the city. Blythe's made a good go of it.
The brightly
I'm
lit
afraid this
temple type
assassin
thing that
might
looks like
stump.
the Acropolis from Greece, that's
Not sure where to go
not
from
actually
here.
Nokron, that's Mogwin Palace. but it likely was part of Narcron at one point.
Blythe, Rani's mother, Queen Renala, approved of him, and they played like
So
siblings
Blythe is
for
Ronnie's shadow.
They were always
She
happy to have me
she
back
was an
along as
Empyrean, which
well. When
means
Lady Rani renounced her flesh and chose the
yeah,
dark path
he's
of
saying
the
that.
Empyrean, Blythe and I swore allegiance as vassals. But none of us will ever forget our earliest days together. Promise to look after Blythe for me, will you? The man is honest to a fault. But fortunately, now he has you.
So
Something
Empyreans are chosen by the Two Fingers, or I guess more precisely, chosen by the Greater Will, ultimately, as candidates to become a god. In this case, current Empyreans are candidates to succeed America. And when Ronnie became an Empyrean, she was sent Blythe as what's called a shadow to watch over her. Because obviously, the Greater Wills wants to protect its investment.
I take it you've heard well.
Oh,
After you by going under only Blythe's, to be honest.
Alright. Let's go talk to Celovus. Much of these steps can really be skipped, by the way. You really don't have to go around talking to people. But the purpose of this stream is to examine the story of Elden Ring, so that's what we're doing here. Like all the stuff about talking to Roger, going back and forth to talk to Blythe, all that. That's really just so you have some idea of what's going on. But on subsequent playthroughs, you just do what you need to do.
Begging for another lesson so soon? The remains.
There we go. More dialogue about Nocron.
Well, you're asking me about that, are you? The task was left to you and the mongrel, was it not? Not only are you incompetent, but shameless to boot. Well, there's no helping it. Now's as good a time as any. I'll let you in on it. There's a glintstone sorcerer by the name of Selin in Limgrave. She owes me for the help I gave her when she was expelled from the academy. I asked her to look into the matter some time ago. I'll write you a letter of introduction. Go ask her.
Hello, Zeresh. Well, I've already been introduced to Selin, but okay. Okay. Alright, just for dialogue, let's go speak to Selin.
Young apprentice, you are a tadpole when it comes to magic.
Notice how everyone who studies sorcery is very condescending.
So, to become a sorcerer, first, you must face your ignorance. Now, shall we start learning? Well, Celovus is not a name I ever wanted to hear again. But fine. If it will help you, my apprentice, I offer my knowledge. The stars alter the fate of the Karian royal family, and the fate of your mistress, Rani. But long ago, General Radahn challenged the swirling constellations, and in a crushing victory arrested their cycles. Now he is the force that repulses the stars. If General Radahn were to die, the stars would resume their movement, and so too would Rani's destiny.
I can show her this while we're here.
Sorcery, my apprentice. Ah, then you have seen Master Azure. Master Azure was a founding glintstone sorcerer, and my first teacher. A stern judge of men. But he must have seen something in you. You make us both proud. We can speak more later, my apprentice.
So I am sort of getting somewhat of a schedule. I do announce it in advance, and I am making use of the scheduling feature here on Twitch. But of course, you know, there's genuine questions about stuff like that, and then I can also sort of recognize the beginnings of a sales pitch when I hear it. So yeah.
If you recall, I was exiled from the Academy of Rhea Lucaria. It was for attempting to restore the primeval current of glintstone sorcery. The toothless pedantry peddled by the Carian royal family can rot for all I care. I want glintstone sorceries that open our minds, unbound by terrestrial taboos. No matter what we give in return.
So she's like the sorcerer equivalent of a mad scientist.
I presume nothing. Teacher and student are not bound to tread the same path. But hear me out, my apprentice. I need your help to restore the primeval current of glintstone sorcery. Perhaps this is a journey we could take together. Splendid. I thank you. This pleases me. It's been far too long since I found a fellow kindred spirit. You must have a fabulous teacher. I need your help, my apprentice. Master Lusat is another founding glintstone sorcerer. And like Master Azure, he was banished from the Academy. Now he languishes in prison.
I'm not gonna do
somewhere.
Sellen's quest right now. I'm just
My
sort of,
apprentice, can you find Master Lusat?
while we're here, might as well
With
get
this
the dialogue
glintstone key,
and
you should be able to cross
start the
boundary
quest.
that encloses him. I need him to restore the primeval current of glintstone sorcery. He's nigh a child of the stars. Such is his body now.
I'm also not going to really discuss the primeval current right now. It's very... There's definitely an element of cosmic horror here. And notice we saw that same symbol there on the chair crypt of Celia. No, I just, you know, when someone wants to try to do a sales pitch, I may or may not be interested, but I just kind of wish you would get to the point. Instead of all these games that people like to play, you know? Okay, so the important thing here, for now anyway, what she's saying is about Radon. So we're gonna head towards Radon. I don't know if I actually grabbed this golden seed. I'm just gonna check that real quick. Okay, I guess I did. So she was saying that Radon stopped the cycles of the stars. In Elden Ring cosmology, stars are living things, and they move, and Radon's mastery over gravity sorcery allows him to actually freeze the stars' movements in place in order to protect the lands between from stars crashing into the ground. So he's called Conqueror of the Stars, not as like a metaphorical thing, but as more of a literal thing, as in he literally challenged the stars themselves to a fight and won. And if you come here at any other time, this bridge is heavily fortified. There's guards just like shooting stuff at you, and the whole castle is filled with soldiers who make progression pretty difficult. But now it's empty. They've all abandoned their post. And there's a special event happening right now inside the castle. So we're in Redmane Castle here. Yeah, normally when you come here, there's soldiers with flamethrowers set up here, and they're shooting at you as you're trying to progress, and you have to fight your way through everything. It's a lot. But they've all abandoned their posts, and there's a reason why. There's a special event happening.
Thought I might find you here. I must admit, I was a little worried. We missed our meeting. But it looks like you're still in one piece, eh? You must have heard by now, right? That Starscourge Radahn holds Rani's fate in stasis. But once he's out of the way, it'll spring back into motion. So now, we stand against the demigod once known as the strongest of them all. The way ahead is pleasingly simple. We fight, sword and fang.
Champions! Welcome! The stars have aligned! The festival is nigh! General Radahn, mightiest demigod of the Shattering, awaits you! Champions, prepare for battle! Defeat the general, claim glory, and grab that great rune! A celebration of war! The Radahn Festival!
Ah, you came. How delightful. Indeed, I thought I might find you here. By the by, do you know for whom this festival is being held? Well, it is none other than General Radahn himself. To think, I could face a great champion of the Shattering, a demigod in the flesh. Oh, in truth, I quiver at the thought. Such is his frightful repute. But the fear simply assures me the ordeal is worth undertaking. Be sure to get a good vantage, my friend. I, Iron Fist Alexander, do hereby vow to unflinchingly brave this ordeal.
You may notice that he's dressed a little funny. His outfit is kind of reminiscent of, it's just kind of hard to say, the Landsknecht, basically a class of German mercenaries in like the 15th and 16th centuries. Is meant to sort of convey the message that he's a mercenary. And the purpose of this festival is to give Radahn, who's afflicted by scarlet rot, an honorable death in battle. But notice how, and this may not be obvious at first, but aside from Jaren's mercenary background, everyone here is pretty much, who's participating, is pretty much a civilian. The actual soldiers, they so much want nothing to do with this that they completely abandoned their posts in this castle. Only the people who've heard stories about Radon are showing up to do this. But the people who actually served with Radon want nothing to do with this. So, despite all the sort of in-game propaganda about Radon being a heroic figure, it's worth noticing who shows up and who doesn't. And that should cause you to sort of question that narrative.
Are you good and prepared, young chum? The festival begins.
Before we begin, allow me to paint you the full picture. General Radon is cursed ever to wander. Eaten from the inside by Melania's scarlet rot, his wits are long gone. Now he gathers the corpses of former friends and foes alike, gorging on them like a dog. Howling at the sky.
But now, we must make merry.
O gathering of champions, the revels begin. The celebration of war. The Radon Festival.
His sword there is called a flamberge, and you can actually obtain one normally in this castle. I'm happy with my sword though. Here again is a moon dial. And by the way, this festival only happens when, as Jared would say, the stars are aligned. There's a few things that can trigger the stars to become aligned for this festival to begin. In this case, what triggered it was me taking the lift of Dectus and entering Altus Plateau. That triggered this. If I not done that and I just come here without doing anything else, this castle would still be heavily guarded. And after the Radon Festival, after all this is over, the castle will revert back to being heavily defended. But for now, let's go fight Radon. And let's see, I'm level 59. I would like to be at least level 80, but I'm not gonna worry too much about it. It is what it is. Either way, whether it takes me one try or many tries, we'll get this. Alright, here goes. This is a pretty interesting fight because you can actually summon multiple allies. It's almost like that scene from Avengers Endgame where they summon all the Avengers. It's kind of like that. There's no other fight in the game like it. You just hit these signs to summon them. And dodge. As needed. Yeah, so the initial challenge is getting to Radon. Oh, without getting sniped that way. Okay, that's 2 of my flasks gone. You can also summon Patches to this fight, but he'll take one look at Radon and run. So patches won't do any good here. Okay, I'm out of range. There is a downside to summoning help, which is it makes Radahn's movements a little bit less predictable. Well, a lot less predictable, actually. Yep, see, Patches returned to his world. He wants no part of this. Alright, we got him down somewhat, but he launched himself into space, and now he's coming back. And while I have a little bit of a break, I'm going to resummon some of the people who have died, because you can actually keep resummoning them. No other fight lets you do that. Oh. Yeah, he's tough. You know what? I need to break away a little bit and create some distance, summon some more people, because I am kind of under-leveled still. And let's see if we can manage this. Blythe died. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's his gravity magic. I'm trying to pull you in. Oh, no. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. Okay, didn't target me that time. Oh, yeah. It's hard to see those sword swings. Alright, let's just play it safe, resummon. Summon Alexander again. Whoa. Alright. Kind of a waste of a flask, but if it helps you survive... Oh, okay. Nice. And now that the guy using gravity magic to hold back the stars is dead, the stars start moving again. Remember, he was actually doing this to protect Celia, specifically, because he initially studied magic in Celia. And now something crashed down into the ground, so now the question is, okay, the stars are alive, and he was trying to protect this land from the stars using his gravity magic. So what exactly was he trying to protect them from? What threat was there in outer space that is now free to come here?
Ah, good. I was waiting for you. Oh, what a sick way to fight, eh? The glory of the clash is shared by Radahn and you. And did you see that afterwards? Falling star right before our eyes. I can't fathom how Radahn was holding back something of that scale. He was a living legend if ever I saw one. And the path has now been cleared. To Nokran, where Rani's fate will be decided. Let's meet where the falling star bit the earth. We'll take up our souls once more for Mistress Rani.
Yeah, so despite having his mind afflicted with scarlet rot and being in the state he was in, Radahn was still, at the same time, holding back the stars.
Hello there.
Yeah, Alexander's looking a lot more
It was a
cracked than
battle
usual.
marvelously fought. You are well and truly a champion, friend. I, on the other hand, am nothing but a crock.
He got
One
injured pretty
hit was
badly
all
from the
took
looks
to
of it.
crack me, and for my insides to come spilling out. After that, I hid like a coward. And as such, I can hardly stand to face one such as you. But don't you think I've given up just yet. As luck would have it, there's a veritable mountain of warriors' bodies right here. If I can just squeeze this bunch down inside...
Yeah, in case it wasn't clear before, these warrior jars eat dead warriors.
The bodies found here are exceedingly fine. Who could expect any less from the very warriors who fought in the Shattering, the greatest of all wars? Just you wait and see, friend. I'll grow even stronger. Just you wait when next we meet. Who could expect any less from the... Just you wait.
And let me go ahead and let's see if I... This is where I want to get to. There's actually a town full of jars. I'm going to have to revisit that town numerous times for things to trigger. So let's go ahead and actually start that process. But yeah, there's a hidden town that is easy to miss in this game because of how well hidden it is. It's called Jarburg and is actually full of those warrior jars. Ah, one of these guys. Oh. Since I'm here, let's fight someone else. Alexander found his way here out of order, it seems like. I'm a little bit busy right now. There. Yeah, there's Alexander again. You actually need an oil pot to free him. I don't have one right now. So I'm just gonna pretend like I didn't see him. Or quit getting yourself stuck in holes. And needless to say, you do have to be careful when jumping down here. Such a mighty warrior, easily defeated by a hole in the ground. So yeah, this is Jarburg. And you can talk to this guy.
Hello, Cos. What are you doing here? I didn't think anyone knew about this place. Except us jars. Ah. Are you going to be the new potentate?
Of course, there's a hidden pun here. Potentate containing the word pot.
Gosh. Truly. That's wonderful news. It's not easy being potentate, though. I know. Show me your hands. It's just a little test, cuz. To see if you've got the right stuff. Your skin isn't so smooth, is it? You need slick, slidey hands to be potentate, you know? I'm sorry, cuz. But I don't think you've got what it takes. What a shame. Don't look so glum, cuz. We can still chat. potentate or not, come back and visit me. When you can.
So yeah, we'll have to visit him a lot, and his quest is sort of tied into, not his quest, but the fate of Jarberg is sort of tied into the character Dialos, who is also currently tied up with the Volcano Manor questline. So there is a limit to how much we can really progress things here right now, but while we're here, might as well get things started. And grab these items too. Lots of great crafting materials here. And then we will go to Nokron. Actually, let's check with Celibus first. I'm hoping that more dialogue with Celibus will eventually be triggered. Because it's not so straightforward. You oftentimes have to leave the area for a bit and then come back before you have more dialogue options with Celibus. But there is going to be a hard cap as far as there being a point of no return. So I do want to get his stuff out of the way before then. There we go. I want a new puppet.
What's that? You want another puppet? Quite the keen paramour, aren't we?
I don't actually want another puppet, but I have to.
One is like a child to me. I can hardly just give them away. Oh dear, what's to be done? Why don't you fetch me some starlight shards? If you can manage it.
Starlight shards are actually quite useful because they recover a FP steadily. But because they're a finite resource, I never rely on them for battle. So I only pretty much collect them for this. That's why in earlier streams I was specifically making sure to grab the starlight shards. So I have enough to give to him. Okay, I have 4 shards and he needs 3 for this.
You're proving to be quite the puppeteer. I've not had an apprentice for a very long time indeed. Begging for another lesson so soon.
There we go, about the scheme.
Perhaps you'd be interested in a little scheme of mine. It will produce the finest of puppets, which I aspire to cherish with these very hands. A ploy to fool even Lady Rani. How does that sound?
Play along.
I knew I had you pegged. You're just like me. Then I'd like you to procure something. A rather unique starlight shard
Already got it.
glistens with amber. With that, my special draft will gleam with nectar sweetness. And even a demigod would be slave to its charm.
In case it's not clear, he's wanting to enslave Rani and make her a puppet.
Well, you managed to lay your hands on it. The blessed day is finally upon us. Goodness gracious, the way it glistens. Utterly enchanting. To think this was once a demigod's very fate. My, oh my, oh my.
It is no coincidence that this amber starlight was found in front of a statue of Melania and Mikola, who are also Empyreans.
Yes, I should. Yeah, please. Now, just you wait. The scheme I promised is to be revealed very shortly.
So, after a bit, he will give you a potion to give to Rani to make her one of his puppets. If you do that, it will not work. Ronnie will wake up and realize what you're doing. And yeah, if you keep trying to talk to her after that, she'll kill you telepathically. And his scheme is not really thought out very well anyway. He's wanting to make Ronnie a puppet, but what he's not really considering is Ronnie is already a spirit possessing a doll body. I don't think he accounted for that variable there. He accounted for the fact that she's a demigod and he's using, special material for that purpose. But a spirit possessing a doll body, and he's wanting to turn that into a puppet, that's not a factor I don't think he is even accounting for. I think he believes so strongly in what he's able to do that this being a complication isn't something that he's factoring in. So needless to say, whether you help him or not, his scheme is not going to be successful. And like I said, there's a hard cap as far as, when you're able to do this. If you proceed any further, which I'm about to proceed further, there's going to be a point of no return. And the point of no return is when we grab the Finger Slayer blade for Ronnie from Nokron. And this red mark on the map, that's where the meteor hit. And we can see the effects. And notice how the rock fragments are just hanging in the air like that. This is residue of gravity magic at work. And by the way, Radon is dead for right now, but that doesn't mean that this is the last time we fight him. He's actually going to be the final boss of the DLC, Shadow of the Erdtree. And when you fight him there, he is much tougher than the fight we just had with him. As crazy as that fight was, that's nothing compared to how bad it's going to be in the DLC. And yeah, for the purpose of this stream, I am going to be doing the DLC as well. Alright, so now that a meteor smashed a hole into the ground, we can actually get to Nokron this way. So yeah, Nokron is one of the 3 eternal cities. And this is the starting point here, okay. Whoa. Gotta be careful with some of these jumps. And we're not quite in Nokron itself just yet. We're in sort of like the outer area. It's actually rather big. And notice something here. The sort of metal plates in place of the windows, that's kind of reminiscent. In fact, a lot of the architecture is going to be kind of reminiscent of what you saw in Celia. And keep in mind that Celia now also is home to night sorceries in the Nox, whose name is Latin for night. Oh wow, I've had enough runes to level up multiple times for quite a while now. I forgot to level up. Okay, let's see what we can get here. Okay, 2 points in vigor, 1 in dexterity. That's pretty good. When it comes to leveling, Vigor is probably going to be a more worthwhile stat to prioritize than anything else, as long as you meet the minimum stat requirements for your weapons. You'll see this a lot in the Eternal Cities, of statues of people just like not having a good time. Let's just say that. And I'm not gonna talk all about the lore of all the Eternal Cities right now. So there's gonna be some stuff I'm just not gonna really get into right now, including that, because there are. This is only the first Eternal City we're visiting, and there's 3 Eternal Cities in the game, so some stuff just makes more sense if I get into it later. Notice that there's birds on their shields. We'll see why in just a moment. I actually don't need these glove warts because I'm not using spirit ashes. Ah, that's what I came here for. Again, I'm not going to use the spirit ashes, but interesting thing here. Spirits of great shield soldiers who belong to the Fallen Hawks, a band of soldiers that once explored the Eternal City. This is a Berserk reference. So a lot of, obviously, as a lot of people know, the Souls games, including like Dark Souls and Elden Ring, are heavily inspired by Berserk. And even that name, the Fallen Hawks, it's a reference to the Bane of the Hawk from Berserk. Alright, we're getting closer to the main city of Nokron. Off in the distance, that's Mogwin Palace. That's what we saw before. Way down below us is Shifa River. And I'm not going to fight the Nox, but there's a Nox person right there. Yeah, nice ambush attempt. Always look up when you're going through a covered area. Especially down here. These things like to drop on you from above. Okay, now this is gonna seem strange, but there's a reason for it. I'm going to unequip my weapons. The reason is we're gonna fight a Mimic tier, which is a silver tier that mimics you, and it basically turns itself into an exact copy of you, including your weapons. So I'm going to come into the fight with no weapons equipped, so that the Mimic will also come into it with no weapons equipped, and then I'll equip a weapon, so now I'm armed and it's not. Now I just have to try to, you know, deal with it without rolling around on me. But yeah, it's just harmlessly punching me while I'm slashing with a sword. It would have been more of a fight if I would have come in here still armed. Nice. Huh. Can I get any more levels? Yeah, I think so. Nice. I mentioned it in the first stream, but obviously these are fake stars. Yeah, this is where Blythe was down below trying to find a way up here. And we can actually light these things, and if you light all of them, it'll unlock a optional boss fight, which if you're going for the Platinum Trophy, you're going to want to do that. There was one in Shifa River as well, and that unlocks the Ancestor Spirit fight. This one unlocks the Regal Ancestor Spirit. If you're going for just the trophies, Regal Ancestor Spirit is really the only one you need to really do. You can also, there's also a way down to Deep-Root Depths from here. There's a lot more to explore here. I'm not going to do it right now, though. I'm just here for the Finger Slayer Blade. We'll definitely come back, though. And as you can see, I'm sort of approaching where Celia is on the upper map. In fact, Celia itself is right here, so that's why I think Mogwin Palace was originally part of Nokron. Not only is it just geographically close and architecturally is there that similarity, but we know that Celia is linked to the Eternal Cities, and Mogwin Palace is directly underneath Celia. Yeah, these are silver tiers. They are basically like shapeshifter type things. Now this will allow you to add poison, blood, or occult affinity to your weapons when applying an Ash of War. So pretty useful if you like status effects. Blood especially is very good. Mimic tier. This is one of the best, if not the best, Spirit Ash you can use in the entire game. It does, no, instead of using FP to summon, it does require HP to summon. So you need more than 660 HP to summon it, and it will take that from your health, and you, of course, can heal afterwards. But it makes an exact copy of your character. And of course, when you first get this, it's kind of weak. But once you upgrade this Mimic tier to plus 10, it can become pretty powerful. And it copies your exact build. So anything that you have equipped, it'll have equipped. So you can, if you're using a Mimic tier, you can sort of plan around that and strategize based on that. Okay, let's... Between these, this silver sphere is more of a threat, actually. If I had a ranged attack option, like a spell or something, you could just safely stay on this ledge and cast it down at this sphere with no risk of retaliation. But I'm pure melee, so I just have to go down there. It seems slow, but this is deceptively dangerous. Because these things can pick up speed pretty quickly. And that thing it dropped is a larval tier, but I'm gonna grab that in a moment. These guys are fast. Alright. The hats that they're wearing, these particular Nox are the Night Maidens, and they're like the higher ranked Nox. So there's, as far as I can tell, there's basically 3 classes of Nox we see represented. There's the monks, the sword mistresses, and the Night Maidens. The one I just killed is a Night Maiden. Now, if you run down this path, these silver tiers will start transforming into enemies. And at the very end, the last silver tier will transform into a troll. But there's a way to avoid all that, which is just come up here and don't come near them. Problem avoided. And we saw at the Chair Crypt in Celia one of these things that was unoccupied, but now we see one that actually has someone sitting on it. There's going to be a few more of these in the game. We'll talk about that at a later time. I wish I could go into more detail right now, but there's some stuff that it will just make more sense once we see more of the Eternal Cities. But yeah, the Fingerslayer Blade is what we're sent by Ryan to retrieve. The hidden treasure of the Eternal City of Nokron, a blade said to have been born of a corpse. This blood-drenched fetish is proof of the high treason committed by the Eternal City and symbolizes its downfall. Cannot be wielded by those without a fate, but is said to be able to harm the greater will and its vassals. So it does seem that the reason that the Eternal Cities were banished underground is because of treason against the Golden Order, and specifically they were plotting for a way to kill to kill demigods, but more specifically to kill the Two Fingers and basically harm the greater will directly. And that's what Ronnie sent us to grab. So let's go talk to her.
Not blithe it seemeth. Even in my slumber I sensed it. It is in thy possession.
She
is it
wasn't
not?
sleeping.
The hidden treasure of Nokron. My thanks. Finally all the pieces are in place. Soon must I begin my journey. Upon the dark path only I may tread. Ah, but before I leave, I must entrust thee with this. Take it. My discarded flesh lieth beyond the seal unlocked by it, upon which is carved the curse mark of thy desire. I can fathom what thy purpose might be. Neither of us is welcomed by the brighter path, I see. You may leave now. It was but brief, but thou gavest me fine service.
Even if you aren't doing Roger's quest and looking for the curse mark, even if you're just serving Ronnie without any motive for the curse mark, she'll still give you that item as a reward, and it's actually a necessity in order to unlock one of the other endings of the game, which is Fia's ending. So it's interesting that Ronnie is actually helping you unlock an ending other than the one that she has in mind. So remember, she's born into a world where her fate is determined by the stars and by the greater will and by forces not in her control. And despite all that, she is very much very radically in favor of personal agency and personal choice. She wants to take back control over her own life, and as we'll see more of later on. But she also wants to give you freedom as well. So at every point, she doesn't force you into anything. She still lets you make free choices, including a choice to choosing a game ending other than the one that serves her interests. And there we find Celovus. What happened to him? And earlier in the stream, I said to remember the pose of the puppets, kneeling with his head back. Celovus is a puppet. Now, one interpretation of this could be that Ronnie figured out his scheme and turned his magic against him, and instead of him turning her into a puppet, she turned him into a puppet. That is a very if you come to that conclusion, if you see that you come to that conclusion, it's a very rational conclusion to come to. But there's some additional information you can find that I think might add some additional context here that might give you a different conclusion. Hear what's happening here? Pitia is being attacked. And let's see who's being attacked by. And he just died. He was being attacked by these puppets. Here's my theory, which is that Celovus might have been a puppet all along, and Pitia was the one controlling his strings. Obviously, Pitia acts very differently than Celovus, but he probably, him controlling Celovus remotely like that, he probably felt empowered to act in a way that he otherwise wouldn't have acted. But yeah, Celovus he's the puppet. Whether he was always a puppet, or whether Ronnie turned him into a puppet, or something else, we don't know. We can only speculate. But those are really the main two theories there.
Oh, there you are. Good of you to drop by. Have you heard? Lady Rani has departed on her journey along the dark path of Imperium, from Rena's Rise, as she calls it. It would not have been possible without you. As Lady Rani's war counselor, express my deepest gratitude. You and only you were Lady Rani's true champion.
So, my Bloodhound's Fang weapon is at a +6 right now. Pretty soon I'll be able to max it out to +10. As a quick note when it comes to leveling, notice here under attack power I have two numbers under physical, the 263 and the 175. The first is pure base damage, the second is bonus damage. However, some people incorrectly assume that bonus damage is solely a function of your attribute scaling. In this case, I have a C in both strength and dexterity. So people might assume that, okay, my strength and dexterity stats combined with the scaling, that solely determines bonus damage. However, your base damage also plays a big factor in calculating your bonus damage. So between the two, between base damage and bonus damage, base damage is more important. And where I'm going with this is that when it comes to leveling up, like I was saying, level up your attributes to meet the minimum stat requirements, and go a little bit over if you want to be able to use your weapons. But prioritize vigor, which what I'm doing here. I have 38 vigor, my highest stat. And the reason is because the bulk of your damage is going to come from your weapon's base damage and its upgrade level. So that's why I'm focused really on upgrading my weapon to +10, because that's going to be more valuable to me than pumping up my strength and dexterity numbers. I'm still going to do that. I'm still going to level strength and dexterity, but upgrading my weapon and having a good weapon to begin with is ultimately going to be more impactful. Okay, and before we proceed any further, Blythe has gone we haven't seen Blythe lately. So let's go back to the Evergel. And by the way, all this stuff I was explaining about the stats and how all are calculated and stuff, the game doesn't really tell you any of this stuff. You just... If you don't know it, it's not that important. Either way, you're still talking about marginal differences here. I mean, at the most, it's like it makes getting it wrong by like a little bit makes the difference between killing a boss in say 20 hits versus 21 hits. It can make a difference, but I mean, if you're really struggling, that's not really gonna be a game changer for you. So yeah, EG trapped Blythe in here for a good reason.
My thanks, friend. I'm going to see Mistress Rani now. I don't know what came over old E.G., but even if the odds are slim, I need to check the Mistress is safe. Now, Rani can finally set in motion the fight against her fate she's dreamed of for so long. I'm going to see Mistress Rani. I don't know what, but even if the odds are slim.
And let's go back to EG. And again, all this back and forth really isn't needed. In fact, you could skip freeing Blythe altogether and skip all this dialogue. But, I mean, if you're trying to understand the story of Elden Ring, this really helps.
Greetings, my fellow. I presume you've spoken with Blythe?
Yeah, I've spoken with him and set him free.
Well, there is something you should know. The two fingers gave Blythe to Lady Rani as a faithful follower. Her very shadow, incapable of treachery. But if Lady Rani, as an Empyrean, resists being an instrument of the two fingers, the shadow will go mad. transforming from a follower into a horrid curse. But such is his destiny. In such matters, Blythe's own thoughts hold no weight. It pains me so. But he must be neutralized. For Lady Rani's sake.
So the two fingers sent Blythe to Ronnie to watch over her because she's an Empyrean. And as long as she stays presumably loyal to the two fingers and the greater will, Blythe will be loyal to her. But if she betrays the two fingers, then it's almost like Blythe is pre-programmed to turn on her. That's what EG believes anyway. That Blythe will go mad and betray Ronnie. Because of Ronnie's actions, he will indeed go mad, but he won't betray her. But of course, Blythe is just being abundantly cautious here. And unfortunately, once Blythe does go mad, we will have to put him down. If you climb up this ladder, but then look behind you, this is easy to miss. You can actually get Ryan's outfit. This isn't actually her outfit, it's the outfit of, I believe it's Rena. I believe Rena was the person that Ronnie studied cult sorceries from, who's described as a crone she met in the woods, which, sounds a little bit creepy. There's actually two ways to get here. One is through here. The other is by falling down this waterfall in a coffin. I would say that this will make sense later, but it'll never make sense. Nothing sensible. As much as I've explored this game, the idea of using coffins to go up and down in waterfalls has never made any sense to me. Now, normally important items are highlighted with orange or purple. This looks like a regular item. But if you look at it, it's miniature Ronnie. And let's read it. A doll resembling Ronnie the Witch. From head to toe, every detail is perfect. This unresponsive doll seems pleasantly cool. The fact that it specifically used the word unresponsive is odd, because if it's, you would think any inanimate object would be unresponsive, right? Kind of a hint that's not really an inanimate object. And also, the reason you should really know that this is not just a doll is because the Rhino we met before was also a doll that was that her spirit was possessing. So think about it logically. If her spirit can possess a larger doll, then could it not also possess a much smaller identical doll? And that is indeed what's happening here, although she will try to deceive you. If you're resting at this side of Grace, you'll see an option to talk to miniature Ronnie. It doesn't work on the surface, but at this side of Grace it does. And she won't respond. We have to do it 3 times.
Oh, a dogged fellow, aren't we? Or is it merely thy habit to talk to dolls? Fine. Fine. I hadn't expected any soul to recognize me in this guise.
You weren't?
But now the cat is out the bag. I cannot allow thee thy freedoms. Perform for me a service as recompense. Eliminate the baleful shadows which prowl these lands. The name of Rani the Witch is already sullied by thee. I will not brook disobedience in this matter.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I sullied her name by seeing through her very, very obvious disguise. Again, if she can possess a larger doll, then you would think that if she disappears from the world and we come across, so we know she left through Rena's Rise, and I followed her through Rena's Rise, and her larger doll body is nowhere to be found, but instead I find this identical smaller doll. Obviously I'm going to assume that, you know, she's possessing the smaller doll now. And yet she acts shocked that her disguise didn't fool me. So this thing here is called a malformed star. Remember when I said that the stars are living creatures in Elden Ring? Yeah, this is real what I mean. Radon was protecting Celia from these things. On my first stream, I showed these statues, except the one I showed had its head broken off. Well, here's what the statues look like fully intact. And I believe I can get a stone sword key over here, so I'll just grab that before I go. And did I get a smithing stone on 7? Yes, I did. Cool. Those malformed stars, since they hang up from the ceiling, they're usually easier to deal with if you have some sort of ranged ability like a bow or a spell or something like that. They can be tricky if you just have melee. This one wasn't so bad, but if it's hanging up on like a ledge where you can't really reach it easily, then you have a problem. Wow, yeah, these ants can do a ton of damage with this spray. That's crazy. Like, if I hadn't invested so much into Vigor, that would have like one-shot me. You can actually just run straight through here. But there's something I want to pick up here. I'm not going to use it, but it's just interesting to grab for the purpose of, you know, exploring the lore. Wow. Okay, okay. Trying to heal. Alright. Yeah, if you have, like, a phobia of insects or whatever, this is not really necessarily the game for you. This is actually based on a real type of ant called a door ant with like thick shielded heads like this that they'll actually block tunnel entrances by backing themselves up and using their heads as doors, literal doors. So they're actually called door ants. This area right here, you can actually get to it by going down this well and coming through here from the service line from down here. But then this malformed star is hard to reach if you're just melee. you need some sort of range option, like preferably a bow, to take it out from. A bow with a rock sling sorcery works pretty well, actually. In fact, yeah, for these things, rock sling is your best way to go, but that's assuming you're like a magic build. But for me, since I'm melee only, I have to come through here so I can reach it with my sword. What I'm actually here for, though, is this. Wing of Estelle. Okay. And yeah, this scales with intelligence and does require intelligence to use, so this complements magic builds pretty well. Sword fashioned from a delicate wing, suffused with the magic of the stars. Crafted from a relic of the natural born of the void, who is said to have assailed the Eternal City. So yeah, these things are attacking the Eternal Cities. That's why they're here. I'm just gonna drop down. Try not to jump over the edge. Okay, I really wish I had some sort of ranged option here. Like at least, I do have a bow, but I didn't upgrade it, so, and I don't really have arrows for it. And this is a detour, by the way. This is just a side path so I could grab some stuff. If I would have just proceeded straight and ignored the door ant completely, that would really put me on more of the right path. But now let's actually fully upgrade this weapon, my Bloodhound's Fang. Is that a +6 now? I should have all the materials I need now to get from a +6 to a +10. And that's the maximum for this weapon.
Well, where have you uttered you no matter without your own?
All right. My weapon is now maxed out. Yeah. Yeah, before I forget, if you're going for the platinum trophy, there's another thing you can do here while we're here. I'm actually not sure this is the right way. Okay, yeah, I'm headed the right way. Okay. Cool. Alright. Bring this. Bloodflame Blade, so I can apply some bleed damage, hopefully. Well, hopefully I can do it before this thing wears off. Yeah, I probably did too... Oh, wow. Oh, wow, this is nice. Yeah, this is what having a fully upgraded weapon is like. Oh, I was hoping to kill it faster, but... Now I gotta deal with this frozen lightning stuff. Oh. Oh, no, I got trapped by the statue. Oh. Alright, stop spamming this thing already. So yeah, this actually gives you a trophy if you defeat it. There's multiple Dragonkin soldiers in the game, all of whom are. In fact, I think now that I think about, I think all of them are underground. But they seem to have been the Eternal City's attempt to create a dragon. And if you look down here, we can actually go down there. Not from here, though. But yeah, that fight is normally not nearly that easy. But you know, my sword is now maxed out, so I can do a lot more damage. Oh yeah, I'm doing plenty of damage now. Alright, let's head on to the next Eternal City, which is Noxtella. Don't know if I'm gonna be able to fully explore all that this stream. I'll probably at least make it to Lake of Rot, and don't know if we can go much beyond that. And yeah, I'm not gonna fight these ants. I'm just gonna run past them, because even though I have a good sword, their little acid spray does a ridiculous amount of damage. Nice. Now we're approaching Noxtella. And of course, you know, NOKS sounds like NOX, so you saw the same Nox sound, which is night, and Stella means star, so this city's name's like basically Night Star. Alright, let's talk to Ranni.
Let us speak of the past a while. I was once an Empyrean, of the demigods. Only I, Mikola, and Melania could claim that title. Each of us was chosen by our own two fingers, as a candidate to succeed Queen Marika, to become the new god of the coming age, which is when I received Blythe, in the form of a vassal tailored for an Empyrean. But I would not acquiesce to the two fingers. I stole the rune of death, slew mine own Empyrean flesh, casting it away. I would not be controlled by that thing. The two fingers and I have been cursing each other ever since, and the baleful shadows are their assassins.
She said she would not be controlled by that thing with a tone of very obvious disgust. So, I mentioned before how the Erd Tree seems to play a role in rebirth. People sprouting from the Erd Tree's branches. And I mentioned in the Round Table Holds that one of the engravings we saw was based on the Tree of Yeshai. Except at the top, there was this weird structure that you wouldn't really recognize if you just looked at it. I'll just go ahead and say now that it's meant to sort of resemble Marika's bedchamber. We'll see it later on. But it seems that whoever serves as the god for the Golden Order or the Greater Will, that they have some role in reproduction. And what's kind of... Oops. I'm actually resting for a specific purpose so I can time something just right. When it comes to Empyreans, those who become candidates for the Greater Will to become gods to serve the Greater Will, Greater Will is what's called an outer god, which is like sort of a step above the god of the lands between, which is what Marika is. So Empyreans are candidates to become gods for the Greater Will. And let's take take stock of who we know the Empyreans are. We know that are or were at one time. We know that Marika was an Empyrean, and now she ascended from Empyrean to god. There's also a figure called the Glomite Queen, who we really haven't heard anything about just yet, but the Glomite Queen was also an Empyrean. There's Ranni, Melania, and Mikola. And notice I did say that there may be some sort of connection here between being a god for as part of the Golden Order and reproduction. And note that all these names, all these people I mentioned, one thing they have in common is that they're female. And again, it doesn't really tell us much about this stuff. A lot of the stuff we just sort of have to, look for clues on our own and figure out what we can sort of piece together from that. But that's probably why Ranni has such a strong revulsion to being controlled in that manner. And I did mention that, all five, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those people I mentioned, that they're all female. The common objection that, you'll likely hear to that is, oh, no they're not, Mikola is male. Hold that thought. Mikola is described as male, and he's described as, Melania's brother. But just hold that thought when it comes to like what we're gonna find out in the DLC and all that. It's more complicated than that. And I could try to explain it now, but it'll make more sense if I wait. So, 4 females and an asterisk. I actually don't need anything in here, but there's a reason I'm unlocking it. And it's not for what's in this chest, even though I'll just go ahead and grab it anyway. Night Maiden and Sword Mistress puppets. And yeah, there's a visual distinction between regular spirit ashes and puppets. Although when it comes to how they're used in game, they work the same way. Okay, the reason I actually unlocked this was because this sphere right here can be tricky to deal with. Okay, it's going away right now, but you can sort of use that room as a way to safely attack the sphere. Okay, it's coming back. Gotta run. This thing looks like it's going slow, but it's a lot more dangerous than it looks. Come on. Right this way. Yeah, these things can accelerate pretty quickly and without warning. Over here. Let's go. That's why I want to unlock this. This is a trap, by the way. If I had a good ranged weapon, I could simply destroy this thing from afar. You know what? Let's see if I can do that, actually. Because I really don't want to deal with this. My crossbow isn't upgraded, so I'll end up using all my bolts, but basically if you go in there, these doors will shut behind you and trap you with this thing. Out of bolts. Alright. I don't know if fire damage does more damage to these things or regular. Okay, same. So they're not weak to fire at all. Okay, I'm just gonna end up wasting all my arrows this way. I don't have enough to really do anything here. Oh no, I'm really not looking forward to this. And yeah, I guess this, I technically don't have to do this, but here we go. Yep, doors are closing. Oh, okay. I forgot, I have a really good sword now. And of course now they're open again. I drank my flask of Wondrous Physic a bit early. So I was actually wanting to save it for a fight up ahead. Not this one. But while I'm here. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'll just ignore these guys. Well, actually, I wanted to destroy that thing because larval tears are finite resources. So I do want to, you know, grab some. I'm not going to get every larval tear in the game, but they're right here, you know. I'll get them. Okay. I'm surprised this thing hasn't dropped down yet. There we go. And the reason I healed when I didn't really need to that much is because I knew I was going to get that flask recovered. Because that thing counted as an enemy group. Okay. Another chair crypt. Okay, so I'm going to lure these things out one at a time. Because these silver tears can be surprisingly kind of tough. And I just don't want to fight all of these things at once, you know? Okay, normally they run forward and attack, but this one's hiding, so there we go. Alright. I mean, I'm doing a lot of damage there, but they also do a lot of damage to you. If I remember right, this one's a little bit... This one has better defense. Yeah, oh yeah, it has a tower shield. Really? It's gonna hide too after I just unequipped my bow? Okay, now it's gonna attack. Alright, come on. Yeah, tower shield and spear is a hard combination to deal with. Almost got it, but it blocked. Nice. Okay. This talisman represents the lost Black Moon. The Moon of Noxtella was the guide of countless stars. So Black Moon is sort of has religious connotation here. And those silver spheres that I was destroying back there, they're sort of meant to emulate a black moon. And this sounds pretty similar to a spell of Ronnie's called Ronnie's Dark Moon, which we can obtain in this game. But the Golden Order is all about the sun, and Ronnie's alternative order is going to be about the moon. And again, these are more symbolic rather than, you know, actual, you know, actual physical things, but yeah, that's sort of where we're going with that. So I haven't really... Basically, there's 3 eternal cities, and each of the three seems to have some similarities, architectural similarities, of some sort to actual historical cities in the Roman Empire. And this is not going to make much sense because we haven't seen all the rest of the city yet. We haven't actually seen all of Nokron, and we're going to see a little bit more of Noxtella soon. But basically, the way it seems to work out is that Nokron is analogous to Athens, Noxtella is analogous to Alexandria, and the nameless Eternal City is going to be analogous to Rome.
Even when I turned my back on the Two Fingers, Blythe remained my loyal ally. Though he was created a vassal for an Aryan, he was a colossal failure on the part of the Two Fingers, Blythe and E.G. both. Art willing to give too much to me, yet they both understand. What lieth beyond the dark path, that I must betray everything, and rid the world of what came before. Ah. Should I add thee to the list? Another one, kind of heart. As kind of heart as they.
So she's talking about, and this is why a lot of people see Ronnie as a villain, because she is willing to sacrifice anybody in order to achieve what she sees as the greater good for, all of humanity. She talks about, sacrificing Blythe and E.G. and ourselves as well. She also kind of sacrificed more than that. So she was the one who killed Godwin, orchestrated the plot of the Black Knives that killed Godwin Golden to kick off this whole thing. And in order to progress her fate and allow us to continue, we had to kill Radon, right? Radon is actually her brother, her full brother.
This form hath loosened my tongue. I've let slip too much. Forget what thou'st heard. Forget.
And remember when fighting Renala, after her first phase, we heard Ronnie's voice speaking, and then we fought like a projection of Renala. That second phase most likely was not a real fight. It was most likely an illusion created by Ronnie as almost like a sort of security system, and that voice that we heard from Ronnie likely wasn't Ronnie speaking live. It was more than likely part of like the trap that was set, like a magic trap. But that being said, even though Ronnie hasn't said anything about us fighting her mother, she probably knows. Especially since an item we're gonna need to complete Ronnie's quest is in the room where Ronnie's mother is imprisoned.
Tell the Two Fingers that Rani the Witch cometh to rend thy flesh with a fateful wound, ne'er to heal.
So this looks like Blythe. It's not Blythe. Remember, where was that? This thing, the Black Wolf Mask. Relic of an assassin who assumed the guise of Rani the Witch's loyal shadow. This is an assassin disguised as Blythe. For the purpose of trying to get close to Ronnie. Oh, wow, okay, I was trying to do a backstab, but that did not work out. Okay, and that swing did not work out either. Oh, wow. Never saw that move before. We lunges like that. safest bet is going to hold the sword like that, roll diagonally forward, and then counterattack. That seems to be the safest strategy to fight him. The actual Blythe is going to be more of a challenge than this.
Beautifully fought. My thanks. 'Twas more of a challenge than I envisioned. Now I can finally
Plus, more of a
stand
challenge than
before
I
them.
envisioned. She
This is
says like she
farewell,
actually did
my dear.
anything.
Tell
Like she
her
actually participated in the fight in
I
any
need
way.
you. I love them.
So she actually does care about people. She cares about Blythe and Niji. But she is willing to sacrifice anyone she needs to sacrifice because she does believe that, you know, the path that she's on, what she's trying to accomplish, is for the greater good. There's actually a lot we can loot here in Lake of Rot. And yeah, all this is Scarlet Rot, and unlike the Swamp of Aeonia, you can't use Torrent for this. So we're gonna have to figure something out here. First, I need to check and see if I've obtained this specific incantation called Flame Cleanse Me. If not, I'll need to grab that. Okay, I don't have that. I know I can get it somewhere in Liurnia. But there's a specific incantation that's very helpful for this. Okay, it's around here. But basically, Flame Cleanse Me is an incantation that will allow you to cure yourself of some elements, including Scarlet Rot. And Scarlet Rot is far more dangerous than poison. So, yeah, having some way of recovery is very useful. There we go. That's what I needed. And fortunately, it has the same faith requirement as an incantation that already meet the requirements for Blood Flame Blade. So let me just de-aggro, and then I will equip this spell, and I can use it to navigate the Lake of Rot. And let's see, did I also... Let me also go to the 4 belfries because I can get a talisman to help me here. Let me actually make sure I have... Okay. I have an imbued sword key. Crumbling Lands went too far. Unless did I obtain that already? I may have already. Okay, I may have actually unlocked the gate, but not actually grabbed the talisman. We'll check. No, that's not where I wanted to go. I'm supposed to check that. Okay, so I guess I didn't get all the imbued sword keys. There's one Rea Lucaria, and there's one Celia. You know what, it's probably the one in Celia I didn't grab. But that's okay, because this other gate I'm not really interested in going to. Okay, Night Sky Unceasing, that's the one we want. Yeah, because I remember I went to Celia when I was pretty low level, and I was busy running for my life there, so I didn't really want to try to get that key. And there's really not much to do in this part of the map, except optionally fight this Crucible Knight, who you get no reward for fighting. It's just a, cool thing to do. There's only 16 of them in the game, so if you want to go around killing all the Crucible Knights, here's one you can fight here. And you can obtain this talisman. And all it really does is help with resistance. Okay, so those bars moving means that my resistance to all these elements have increased. So I'm slightly more resistant to Scarlet Rot. And there's other pieces of armor you can use that will increase your resistance even more. I'm probably good right now. Let's see. I don't want to overload myself with weight either, so I'll stick with what I have right now. Oh no, I didn't equip my thing. I forgot to equip the spell. Oh yeah, see how fast my health is ticking away? That's the danger of Scarlet Rot. There we go. Flame Cleanse Me. So Flame Cleanse Me it'll do a tiny amount of damage to you, but it also cures your Scarlet Rot. And unfortunately, there's not much we can do here. I'm just gonna run for it and then cure myself in a bit. Oh, and unfortunately there's Basilisk here too. This is a Basilisk. And they don't do damage directly. They spew this black smoke, but the black smoke fills up your Death Blight meter. And if your Death Blight meter fills up, you become Death Blighted and die instantly. So yeah, these things can be annoying. But they're not nearly as terrible as they were in Dark Souls 1. Because in Dark Souls 1 they could apply curse status to you, which would reduce your maximum HP by half until you found a way to cure it. Their actual eyes are much smaller on like their snout. These big things up here are fake eyes. this. So obviously this is not one of my favorite areas to explore. Scarlet Rot is annoying enough, but they literally made a lake of rot. And I don't want to go out into the rot to fight this guy. And again, this guy is optional, but he has a useful talisman for this place. So let me lure him over, if I can. Yeah, there we go. Come to me. There's so many parts of this game that would be much easier if I had ranged options. I mean, I do have a bow, but you saw how little damage it did. I suppose I could grab Radahn's great bow and level it up, but it's just not worth it to upgrade that. Plus, the ammo for it is so expensive. Oh, I forgot, these things are archers. Alright, I'm just gonna do this. There we go. Immunizing Horn Charm. Nice. Oh, okay. Now I'm gonna be even more much more resistant to Scarlet Rot. And I wonder if it stacks with... I'm curious, I've never actually tried this, but I'm wondering if it stacks with... I'll find out once this bar goes down. If the bar reappears when I equip that new talisman, I'll know that it stacks. It does stack. So now I'm very resistant. Well, as much good as that does. Not a huge difference, really, in the grand scheme of things because of how fast Scarlet Rot builds up, but it's enough to make a difference. Pressing these raises platform jump. And yeah, that there is a Dragonkin soldier, and you can actually fight it, but this is obviously not a good location to fight it at. And this one's really not worth fighting. It has a weapon you can obtain from it, a katana weapon, but I don't really need it because I have a better weapon. Yeah, see, this incantation does a little bit of damage to your health, but it's such a minuscule amount that the trade-off of instantly curing yourself of all the status element buildup is definitely worth it. Oh man, I forgot to... Okay, I forgot I still had a huge amount of buildup. Mushroom Crown. Yeah, this is also going to give me a lot more... Well, it's supposed to. It was supposed to give me a lot more resistance, but I'm not... Maybe my resistance is maxed out. Maybe this is literally as resistant as I can get. It looks ridiculous, but it does help you with resisting Scarlet Rot. You know what? Actually, let me check something here. I'm trying to view. Okay, there we go. Yeah, this is supposed to help with rot. Okay. Looks like my meter is pretty big. So all these bonuses to immunity are stacking to some extent, and they are helping. It'd be nice if I could cover all these gaps without getting Scarlet Rot. Yeah, this is really the way forward here. It's just using these platforms. And yeah, I'm not gonna fight that Dragonkin soldier. At least not at this point in the game. Probably not ever, because with my character build, there's not really much value to it. Let's see, did I've obtained, okay, 8 and okay. I'm getting some good smithing stones here. And when I said that Noxtella, which this is part of Noxtella, this Lake of Rot, that is analogous to Alexandria. Specifically, I don't believe that a Temple of Isis is in Alexandria itself, but it's in Egypt. And this is sort of giving me Temple of Isis vibes. And interestingly, Isis, if you look at depictions of Isis, she's depicted as having wings. Similar in a way to Melania, who is the goddess of Rot. Just another little weird parallel here. There's some cookbook in there, but I'm not going to bother with that because I just want to get out of here. Alright, I'm out of FP. And I will be able to need to backtrack a bit because there's a Somber Stone 9 I can grab. And yeah, with the exception of the max rank stones, all these smithing stones can be bought if you have the bell bearings for them. But unfortunately, to get all like the high level bell bearings, those are very in game. You have to wait till you're in Crumbling Farum Azula, which is very in game. So if I rely on those rather than seek out these stones myself, I'll be way behind in terms of leveling up my equipment. Actually, don't need this anymore. Okay. Oh yeah, and don't fall because I came up with this platform. When the platform raised, I came up along with it. But if you fall and you have to get back up here, it's harder to get back up this second time than it was the first time. Alright. Okay. A weapon unique to Alabaster Lords, a race of ancients with the skin of stone who are said to have risen to life when a meteor struck long ago. Of course, meteors are associated with gravity and gravity magic, and Radon actually learned gravity magic from an Alabaster Lord. But okay, with the exception of a cookbook I don't really want, I've pretty much explored Lake of Rot pretty thoroughly. Let's go to the Grand Cloister. And what level I'm at? 65. Honestly, not that great when it comes to what's up ahead. There's a boss up ahead that is, well, I'm probably under leveled for, especially with the type of weapon I have. I don't really have a weapon that's good for staggering. And if you're playing as a mage character, using the rock sling spell is really good for this boss. I mean, the weapon I have is great for most enemies, not so great for this one. Okay, these are the... I probably mentioned this in a previous stream. These are the Kindred of Rot. And they were given life due to the Scarlet Rot. So when the Scarlet Rot bloomed in Caelid and infected everything there, it also... So from decay comes new life. And this is one of the new life forms. Before I proceed, let me actually... There's interesting lore up here, so let me actually do this. But because they're basically given life by Malenia, they worship Malenia. These things are dangerous. When they use their, not necessarily with their glaives, but when they use their Pest Threads incantation, that's what you have to watch out. Those things. Yeah, that's what you have to watch out for. Too fast. Alright, let's go. Yeah, they do a lot of damage, especially if multiple of them are shooting at you at once. And good thing I didn't aggro all of them. I'm gonna have to go back to the Side of Grace, by the way, because I'm taking damage and using up resources, but I'll get my way here eventually. There we go. These guys are so annoying. Scorpion Stinger. It does Scarlet Rot build up, which is useful, even though it is a dagger. So there's a better weapon for inflicting Scarlet Rot called the Antspur Rapier. But this description is interesting. Dagger fashioned from a great scorpion's tail, glistening with scarlet rot, a ceremonial tool used by heretics, crafted from a relic of a sealed outer god. In this context, relic means it's a part of his body. So this is literally part of a outer god that was sealed away. The identity of this outer god is... It matters because Malenia was born cursed with the Scarlet Rot, and her curse is due to this outer god's power becoming... basically being channeled through her. So this outer god is the origin of Malenia's curse. And it says that the outer god was sealed, but it doesn't say who sealed her. The person who sealed her was a blind swordsman who taught Melania how to fight with a sword. Because Melania is rotting, her eyes also rotted out. So now Melania is blind, so she had to learn how to fight blind. I'm gonna skip this cutscene because all it is riding a coffin down a waterfall. And unfortunately, this is not going to be the last time you use a coffin on a waterfall to traverse between two areas. It's an incredibly dumb way of getting about. Okay, so I am pretty underleveled, I think. Well, not necessarily underleveled. I've beaten this boss around level 65 and even lower levels before with different weapons. Like if I was a mage character using a meteorite staff and rock sling, this would be much easier. But I'm using a sword, so we'll see how this goes. I'm not expecting much though. And I know this thing can bleed, so let's see. There's at least that. I at least have the option to use bleed. Although I probably won't be able to inflict many consecutive hits on it. So yeah, when Radahn was protecting Celia from the stars, this is one of the things it was protecting it from. This is a star. This is a star. In Elden Ring's cosmology. Oh no, oh no, oh no, gravity magic. So, Radahn had to learn gravity magic, but creatures that come from space, including these things, including these things, they can inherently do gravity magic. It's hard. This thing's hard to hit with melee weapons, but it can hit me apparently. Yeah. It's so hard to reach his head. The good thing is, it's not that difficult to stack. Whoa, that was trying to grab me there. I was gonna lunge forward. Okay, got a few hits there. Oh no, it's doing that attack. Where it literally has meteors appear out of portals in the air. I didn't really get a good look at it because it's underneath them, but if you see the attack happening, it looks really cool, but really scary. This thing is hard. Okay, I'm almost got him down. Only got one healing flask left, but maybe you can do this. All right. Legend failed. Normally it says enemy failed or great enemy failed. This was legend failed. But yeah, if you're playing a mage character, use Rock Sling and the Meteorite Staff, and this fight will be so much easier. And I got quite a bit of runes for that. Wow, 4 levels. Now, this door is blocking me here. This is the Carian Seal. cannot proceed without a ring of oath. So when defeating that baleful shadow, I got this Scarlet Palace key from Ronnie. It tells you that it's found in the Grand Library. So basically, this is where Renala is. So in order to complete Ronnie's quest, you do have to fight her mother Renala.
Where did he flee, my sweetings? Come out from whence ye hide. There are books and light aplenty, dither not.
Ring depicting a leaden full moon, symbolic of a cold oath. The ring is supposed to be given by Lunar Princess Rani to her consort. Rani is an Empyrean, meaning her consort will by rights earn the title of Lord. A warning is engraved within. Whoever thou mayest be, take not the ring from this place. The solitude beyond the night is better mine alone. What she means by that is she's on a very difficult path, and she knows that anyone who travels with her, who goes on this path with her, will also have a difficult time. She's willing to take on that burden herself, but she doesn't want to try to force anyone else into doing that. Okay, now the barrier is gone, now that we have the ring. And in case you're wondering how to get to this area in the map, this is how. The village of Albinorix is below here. So this is like some sort of like a cliff overhang, whereas the village of Albinorix is below this overhang. If you think that's confusing, wait till you see the DLC map, where everything is layered and stacked on each other, and it's hard to navigate unless you know where you're going. Now, this is where Adula appears again. If you fight Adula near Ronnie's Rise, once he gets to about half health, he'll just disappear. But you can actually fight him for real here. There's one other dragon that I know of that does that. Lanciax. I can get a bunch of Starlight Shards here, but at this point in the game, now I've already completed Celavis's questline, I don't really need them. They recover FP. But I believe they're a finite resource. There may be a way to farm them, but I'd never do, so I don't really rely on them. I skipped over that cathedral just then. I'll go back. But I just want to get down here first. These are 2 fingers. And you may think, okay, well aren't the 2 fingers in the round table hold? There can be multiple sets of 2 fingers. So on top of all the divine towers, there are 2 fingers. In the round table hold, there are 2 fingers. And there's a set of 2 fingers here. They're kind of they're like a species rather than like a singular being. So in order to become a god in Elden Ring, this doesn't apply to outer gods, but more like on this level, you need a consort to act as your lord. That's what we're doing here is becoming Ronnie's consort. This doesn't actually happen until the end game, though, in which case you still have the option of going forward with it or not. So Ronnie still, no matter, you're never locked into a decision with Ronnie. She'll always give you the choice.
So it was thee who would become my lord. Perhaps I needn't have warned thee. I am pleased, however. Thou art a fitting choice. I go now to the night sky. It is there I shall find mine order. I bid thee travel the path of the Lord, and once all is done, we shall see each other once more.
And before you leave, wait a bit, because this appears. So, variations of this exact same weapon have been in numerous games by FromSoft, going all the way back to King's Field for like the PS1 era. They've even been in the Armored Core series. It's often some variation of the name Moonlight Greatsword, or Moonlight Sword, or Holy Moonlight Sword, something like that. In this game, it's Dark Moon Greatsword. A moon greatsword bestowed by Carrion Queen upon her spouse to honor long-standing tradition, one of the legendary armaments. So instead of a wedding ring, they give them a really cool sword. I kind of think that would be a tradition we should abide by. But whatever, we get rings, they get huge, awesome swords. Ronnie's sigil is a full moon, cold and leaden, and this sword is but a beam of its light. And obviously I do not have the stats to use this, but if you have a magic build, this is a really good melee weapon to have. That and Wing of Estelle and Moonveil are the really good melee weapons I would recommend to complement a magic build. Let me go back to the Cathedral of Mana Celis. And note the name, Mana Celis. Mana means hand. Celis is celestial, like celestial. It's almost like a saying celestial, celestial hand. And unfortunately, for purpose of visibility, it's perpetually night here. So I can't, even if I wait until daytime, it's gonna look like this. It's always gonna be nighttime. But just real quick, I'm gonna just show you some weird architecture stuff, okay? Take a look at these columns here. The columns and these huge windows. So there's much of this space taken up by windows with comparatively little space for actual brick. And look at these, like this color column with like the octagonal shape, right? Now let's look at, for comparison, let's go back to the Church of Ella, and then I'll go to a third church and compare that. Church of Ella looks like you see most churches here. Circular columns, much smaller windows. Even though this is a broken part of a window, you can tell that the window, even for a hole, it will be smaller than what we saw at the Mana Celis. And now let's look at the Church of Vows. This is where things start getting interesting. Oh, and by the way, Ronnie's questline is pretty much done. So, at the end of the game, assuming we don't make a certain choice, we'll be able to choose Ronnie's ending. Okay. Oh, good. Sometimes at night, really hard boss can appear. So, notice the same columns that we saw in Manicelis. Here we have the circular columns of the Church of Ella, but on the outside we have the columns from the Cathedral of Manicelis. And we also have statues built directly in front of these small windows. Now, what's the point of having windows if you're just going to cover them up with statues, right? And it also seems like there may have been larger windows at some point. Here, like, the windows could have been larger, but they filled in with brick and replaced them with smaller windows. It kind of seems like there was originally a different type of church here that was more reminiscent of the Church of Manicelis, and then it was renovated at a later point. And the Church of Manicelis, it's associated with the Carians, right? Whereas this type of church is not. And the Church of Vows is where Radagon married Renala. So it's where you have a conjoining of the Golden Order versus with the Carians. And it seems like the church's architectural history reflects that to some extent. Okay, there's some more stuff we can do here before I end. Let's go to Ronnie's Rise. I did say that even though Blythe would not betray Ronnie, he is still going to go mad. And unfortunately, he is going to be hostile to us. And he'll attack on sight. So, it's best to just go ahead and put him down.
Ronnie. She needs me.
Sorry, but you have rabies. Oh, okay. It explodes. Yeah, look at his glowing red eyes. Okay, remember the ice explosion. There. Blythe, who served as Ronnie's shadow, was the loyal ally who would defy destiny itself if it would have him turn upon his lady. So what happened to Blythe is kind of similar to the hollowing from Dark Souls. This pelt serves as a cape, protecting from cold. Blythe was the blade of Ronnie, but the cold bothered him anyway. Frozen reference. So yeah, things did not go well for Blythe. And as you can expect, they're not going to go that great for Ichi either. If we come up here, this Grace wasn't here before, but if you rest here, you can talk to Manchurani.
I take it thou hast noticed. I shouldn't be surprised. I thought I might expand a little further upon the order I envision. Mine will be an order not of gold, but the stars and moon of the chill night. I would keep them far from the earth beneath our feet. As it is now, life and souls and order are bound tightly together. But I would have them at a great remove, and have the certainties of sight, emotion, faith, and touch all become impossibilities, which is why I would abandon this soil with mine order. Wouldst thou come to me even now, my one and only Lord? Mine will be an order, and I would have. What's
Okay.
that?
So, she speaks very cryptically, as you might have noticed. And what she means is that right now the greater will has a large influence on people's lives in the lands between. She wants to basically remove the influence of outer gods and let people live without that influence.
Well, my fellow, as war comes.
So, like I said, she's the most like pro personal agency character in this game, and this is part of it. You know, she wants freedom for herself to make her own decisions. She wants freedom for you, the player, but she also wants freedom and personal agency for everyone. So yeah, that's why she's doing what she's doing.
Unthinkable. How could Blythe? How did he break free from his cell? No. More importantly, Blythe became a curse that plagued Lady Rani. Yet even in madness, gave himself to her. I made a grave misjudgment. And I thought myself a capable war counselor.
I mean, you
I'll
are a
catch up with
troll,
you soon enough, Blythe.
not known for, you know,
When I
being the most
do,
intelligent.
I only hope you'll accept my apology.
So now if we rest, we see that this happens. These are Black Knife assassins, and they're dead, so EG likely killed them, but they probably slashed him with one of their black knives and inflicted death upon him before he could kill them. So EG is dead now. This will actually, so there's actually is a bell bearing to let you buy Somber Smithing Stones 1 and 2. EG's bell bearing will also let you do that as well. And this. Warned by those committed to high treason, it wards off the intervention of the greater will and his vassal fingers. EG was afraid, terrified of his own treachery. So this was meant to protect him from being found by assassins at the greater will. And they found him. He most likely wanted to be found, and he likely took off his helmet for a time in order for that to happen. And I mentioned before that this was an illusory wall, and I specifically avoided hitting it, so I wouldn't be troubled by, you know, spellcasters every time I come here. Well, I have no reason to come back anymore. So there it is. And that's why I didn't want to hit it before, because of these guys. But no need to be concerned about that anymore. In case it's not clear by now, it's very rare for anyone in Elden Ring to have a happy ending. Very few people do. It usually ends up like this. Okay, there's some more stuff we can do here. So while I'm still on stream for tonight, I'm gonna go ahead and do some more stuff in this area, towards like the progression of the platinum trophy. And I already have the platinum trophy, but in this playthrough, I'm still gonna complete those requirements. And specifically, there's two things I need to get from here: a spell, and you know what? Let me actually come here from the cathedral. I need to get a spell and a spirit ash. And I don't know if I'm gonna actually fight this Ajula dragon, but I'll give it a try. I just want to see, like, And I may just come back later because I'm still, you know, level 69. Pretty nice, but I mean, but this is a dragon that can make an ice sword appear in his mouth. That's what I'm dealing with here. So, we'll see how this goes. I was mid-swing when I saw it lift his foot up to swipe. Oh, nice. Staggered it. Let's see if I can get the critical. Oh no, it didn't. Okay. So yeah, this is a pretty useful spell if you're a magic character. Adula, a devourer of sorcerers, was bested by Ranni and subsequently swore a knightly oath to her dark moon. So yeah, Ranni was able to defeat a dragon. I didn't show this because I didn't want to take that path. But if you had tried to give Celevis's potion to Ranni and turn her into a puppet, she would become like extremely upset with you and refuse to like work with you unless you atoned. And even still, I don't want to take that risk. But if you kept trying to talk to her after that, she would telepathically murder you with just her mind. So yeah, that's basically Ranni. So it's no surprise that she can take down a dragon. Okay. Moonlight Altar. I'm streaming longer than I was expecting, but I figure there's two more things I want to accomplish, and then I'll call it. This is where I want to go, the Ever Jail. Okay, I think the turtle thing is around here too. Okay, so I have to remember, you know what, let me actually, because I always forget where the turtle spring is. Marker. Okay, this is an animal, so I'll a dog. Yeah. Place a marker for the dog. This is a tough fight, especially at my level. And really the way to win with this is to be very patient and attack only when there's a safe opportunity to do so. If you try to do too much, this person will kill you quickly. So patience is really key to this. Just always be vigilant and react accordingly. Nice. You do not want to get hit with any of those red things. It applies destined death, and it'll not only reduce your maximum HP temporarily, but it'll also do damage over time and like steadily drain your health for a bit. And there's only one other boss in the game whose use of destined death is this terrible, and that's gonna be Malekith. Got a little bit greedy there. I probably didn't need to use my Ash of War for that. I could have just done a heavy attack. Yeah, heavy attacks work fine. Whoa. That was too close range for comfort. I could probably counterattack some of this stuff, but I have enough experience with this boss to know is just play it safe. Don't take unnecessary chances. This isn't my first time fighting this boss, and I know how terrible this guy can be. Well, not guy. All the Black Knights are female. Doing pretty well. Oh, and I didn't even use my Flask of Wondrous Physic yet. I don't have time to drink it right now, though. Ah, hey. Thought I was out of range of that. Ah, got hit with the damage over time. She does it while I'm drinking. Yeah, even if it seems like you're winning, this fight can turn around very suddenly if you're not very careful. And that attack that she did steal with the the red and black spirals coming out, that has a wider range than you would expect. So you really have to actively run away from it. Ooh, I could have probably done a follow-up attack right then and finished, but best to be safe. And I got Black Knife Tish, one of the legendary Spirit Ashes. And so, when it comes to discussions of what's the best Spirit Ash in the base game, it's always either Mimic Tear or Black Knife Tish. It's always one of those two. Black Knife Tish is just that good. And she gave me, wow, that gave me quite a bit of runes. Alright, now to come south, and I will get a legendary spell. I can't use it with my build, but I'll have it. If you go up here, there's a red wolf you can fight, and it's actually much tougher than the one at Raya Lucaria. So I'm not gonna fight it. Like I said before, the ability for red wolves to do sorcery seems to be inherent to them as a species. The same way that gravity magic seems to be inherent to creatures that come from space. And the creatures like Estelle and the Malformed Star aren't the only outer space creatures that you'll find that do gravity magic. Seek the three great wise beasts. This little puzzle is kind of bugged in the sense that if you die or if you rest at a site of grace, it sometimes resets. I'm not sure that's still correct, if that's still the case or they've patched it. Either way, I recommend just not doing that. I recommend just doing this all in one go. I probably actually should have leveled up. Oh well. Yeah, there's other turtle puzzles in this game that are usually in a much smaller area, but this is like the largest area to look for turtles in. It's up there. I might have to go up and then shoot out from above, but we'll see. Okay, that worked. And I can never remember the location of the third one, but I know it's above the Spirit Spring, so that's why I put a marker here. I'm not going to fast travel because it can mess up this thing. Oh yeah, these guys can be annoying. I'm just gonna go through here. Ronnie is strongly associated with the moon because that's like associated with her house, the Karin house. So there's no matter what time of day you come here, it's always gonna the sky is always gonna look like this with the moon out. Still have a ways to go. There's a bunch of dragons here you can kill for dragon hearts too, but I'm not gonna really use dragon incantations, so dragon communion incantations I should specify. There's a difference between dragon cult and dragon communion, but that's not important for now. Never judge fall damage, so I'll play it safe. Okay. So the third turtle is up here, and you can try to get lucky by jumping up the spirit spring and hitting it that way, but it's kind of difficult. So, since that's not going to really work out for me all that well, I'll come up here and shoot at it. But if you don't have a bow, that's really going to be your best bet. Is to use the spirit spring and just keep trying until you get lucky enough and hit it. Got it. Alright, so remove that, and now that the seal's been broken, I can fast travel. And let me remember to level up. Oh, by the way, when I got the Moon of Noxtella, I never actually talked about what it does, increasing memory slots. Memory slots, like, they determine how many spells you can have memorized at one time. A lot of spells cost 1 memory slot, some cost 2, and there's even some that cost 3. I don't know of any that cost more than that. You start the game with 2 memory slots. When you obtain memory stones, they're permanent upgrades to your slots. There's 8 of them, so when you get all 8 memory stones, you'll have 10 memory slots. Well, if you want to use one of your talisman's slots to equip the Moon of Noxtella, it'll give you 2 additional. So you can theoretically have up to 12 memory slots for a lot of spells. I do not recommend actually having that many equipped. It's just going to cause lots more issues for you. Okay, so this is one of the legendary spells. Requires 68 intelligence to cast, so pretty high. So, in other words, it's implying that Ronnie's pretty intelligent. That's a high stat right there. It's a high stat requirement. Same with the stuff you get from her mother, Renala, the Regal Scepter, and so Renala's spell is a full moon spell, but this is a dark moon spell. By the way, this also gets powered up by Renala's staff. So if you use Renala's staff to cast Renala's moon spell or Ronnie's moon spell, both of them benefit from a boost from using that staff. Uses the caster as a vessel to incarnate a cold, dark moon, then sends it floating towards foes. The dark moon dispels all sorcery that touches it, and temporarily reduces magic damage negation for those it strikes. So this is helpful when you're like... So it does a few things. It does quite a bit of damage. It also, what this doesn't tell you though, is it also does helps do frostbite buildup. So that's useful as well. Frostbite is a good status effect to use. It makes them weaker temporarily to other magic, so you can cast this at them, hit them with this spell, and then switch to more offensive magic and use that, and you'll do more damage temporarily. It also dispels all sorcery that touches it. So, like for instance, the final boss of the DLC, Radon again, he has this meteor attack where he sends like this, a collection of meteors at you. You can use this spell at him in response to that, and it'll make the meteors disappear. This moon was encountered by a young Rani, led by the hand of her mother Renala. What she beheld was cold, dark, and veiled in occult mystery. Alright, so Ronnie's quest is all done. There is like a talisman I can get here that helps with stamina, but I don't need it. So I'm not going to do that. But yeah, this is pretty much done. Her questline anyway. So the plan for next time is to start on the Volcano Manor stuff and Millicent's questline. Both those things will be the focus of the next Elden Ring stream. But for right now, I will leave it off here. Thank you to everyone who showed up, and I will go ahead and end the stream now. Look forward to seeing people next stream, where we will take on those two quest lines. Alright, thank you.